John talked about battery breakthrough. Our next and final speaker before we go to panel is a battery guy. Jason Forcier is Vice President of the Automotive Solutions Group at A123 Systems. He was General Manager of Lear's Global Electronics business. He was Regional President of Automotive Electronics for Robert Bosch. So please welcome Jason Forcier.
Thanks, Peter. I was on a panel 2 weeks ago in New York. It was a Lazard panel on electrification, and the panel consisted of OEMs, infrastructure executives, motor companies, and it was about 4 or 5 of us. As we're about to take the stage, the group turned and looked at me and they said, "It's all about the batteries, dummy, no pressure." I think this slide doesn't need much explanation to this room, but this is the why we are here slide. The case for electrification has never been stronger. I wasn't an adult in the 70s, but my parents tell me some of these same drivers existed in the 70s, early 70s. The difference between then and today, I believe strongly, is that today we have the tools in the toolbox to address these macroeconomic issues that we're facing globally as an earth, as a world. Volatility in energy prices, you saw Nancy talked about that. I think that's well known. Dependence on foreign oil is not only an issue for the United States, but for countries globally. China, Europe dealing with the same issues. Gas prices over $4 a gallon, major problem. Increasing demand globally. I thought I was stretching a bit when I wrote 20 million cars annually in China. I saw a report this morning from J.D. Powers that says by 2020, China will produce over 35 million vehicles annually. So I guess it wasn't much of a stretch. Political pressure to electrify has never been greater. Germany, the United States, and China all have stated objectives to put over 1 million electric vehicles on the road by 2020. So the time is now, the technology exists, and we're well on our way to electrifying the global fleet. When we talk about electrified vehicles, what does that mean? There's a variety of implementations across both passenger car and commercial vehicles. Of course, we're all familiar with EVs, plug-in hybrids, and HEVs. But I would surmise that electric vehicles also includes microhybrids or start-stop systems. I'll talk more about that in a minute. On the commercial side, we also see a variety of implementations. Another supposition I'd like to make today is that the commercial vehicle side provides the near-term catalyst to scale for components like batteries and other necessary Tier 1 type components that are necessary to scale and bring the cost down in electric vehicles. You see some examples here. One I'd like to highlight is the Daimler Orion 7 bus you see in the middle photograph. That bus utilizes a HEV system from BAE Systems. Of course, it also has an A123 battery. There's over 2,500 of these buses on the road today in North America, in cities from New York City to Toronto to Ottawa to San Francisco to Houston. Over the last 4 years, Daimler's accumulated over 150 million real-world service miles with this application. Switching to passenger vehicles, the number of electrified vehicles coming to the market, not including microhybrids, will double comparing 2010 to 2012. The number of OEMs participating in electric vehicles will increase by over 50%. A large part of this is due to the push in China to electrify vehicles. As we look out beyond 2012, where vehicle models aren't as publicized, we're seeing tremendous increase in the number of vehicles and the number of OEMs participating in electrified vehicles. Matter of fact, I would say that every major global OEM is working on an electrified powertrain of one type or another. Of course, we also look for bellwether vehicles and their performance, because these are really driving OEMs to bring more electrified vehicles to the market. And as we've heard this morning, the Chevy Volt and the Nissan LEAF are doing very well in the marketplace. Switching to talk about microhybrids for a second, Pike Research, who provided this data, has said that over 1/3 of the global vehicle market will be electrified using start-stop systems by 2017. Of course, start-stop systems utilize advanced 12-volt batteries, and they cost less than $1,000. So the ROI, they can achieve between a 5 and 15% fuel economy benefit. The ROI for these systems is great, and that's why we're seeing mass adoption, especially in Europe, and I think that will be coming to the US very soon. If you take the penetration rate for microhybrids and you add that to a fairly modest penetration rate for EVs, plug-in hybrids, and HEVs, I think it's safe to say the total market for electrified vehicles in 2020 will exceed 50%. As evidence of the growing pipeline, and at the risk of having a little bit of a commercial in here, I wanted to show you our pipeline at A123. We currently have over 50 projects under contract and development, an additional 20 projects that are sourced or in production globally. Again, every global major automotive maker is working on electrified strategy, whether it's European, Asian, or North American based. That translates into a very large market for lithium-ion batteries. One of the major hurdles to mass adoption of electric vehicles is the cost of the battery, of course, and the major hurdle to bringing down the cost of the batteries is scale. This chart is provided by Frost & Sullivan. There's similar data from Roland Berger and Deutsche Bank. They predicted the size of the lithium-ion battery market would be $14 billion in 2016. To put that in perspective a bit for you, the size of the commercial lithium-ion battery business, that is the batteries that are used in your laptops and cell phones today, is a $10 billion market, and is predicted to grow over the next 5 years to about $12 or $13 billion. So for sure, the scale and the electrified powertrain is driving the cost of lithium-ion batteries down. So in conclusion, never in my lifetime or in many of yours have we seen the macroeconomic drivers in place with the tools to address those needs on a global scale. Political pressure exists globally, as I discussed. We're seeing near-term catalysts with micro-hybrids and commercial vehicles to support the scale necessary to bring down the cost of lithium-ion batteries. And by 2020, over half of the vehicles produced in the world today will be electrified. I like to tell people I have a 3-year-old son, and he will believe that plugging a car in is as normal as texting or talking on a cell phone is to you and I. So electrics are here to stay. With that, I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
They were always on energy, slow current draws, laptops, cell phones. And so there's a bit of, I would say, not only materials engineering going on, beyond the obvious electrochemistry, but there's also some electrical engineering going on in the batteries. And there is quite a bit of evidence proof as you travel around, I would say the materials-oriented companies that says that this is indeed, technically feasible and probably economically viable. Now, mind you, there's still work to be done. It's not a slam dunk, but the promise is there.
Nancy, are we nearing the Holy Grail?
Well, I think as we've looked at it, when we say the Holy Grail, even if I say today the battery costs average, depending on who you're working with, say $500 to $750 per kilowatt hour. And let's cut it in half. Let's call it $200 to $250, even more than half, right? The 23 kilowatt hour type of battery required for a C-size sedan like Focus or the Nissan LEAF, if it's a full battery electric, is still a $6,000 to $7,000 battery. So, I think the value proposition for the consumer based on miles traveled, payback period, cost of fuel, all of these things still are quite a good challenge. We do see that the possibility of scale is going to help us achieve those kinds of costs, but there's probably a quantum leap in the battery cell technology and cost structure, manufacturing process, material cost, and the whole business structure for cells to make mass market, high volume of pure BEVs work, in our view. The other part of this that we have to think about is the automotive design cycle time and how rapidly we can deploy. For example, we're taking decisions today for 2014 model year. Sourcing patterns decisions, we're making technology decisions. We have to be flexible, but the one thing our customers will not tolerate, nor would we ever want them to be in the position to tolerate, is an issue with safety, durability, or reliability. So we still have to have this really strenuous validation and prove out, of which battery cells or any of the components have to comply. Unlike some of the software changes where we can download the next, like your iPhone, if it doesn't quite work, well, okay, here comes the next version. If the fundamental hardware isn't there, that is a very, very expensive and potentially reputationally damaging for both the corporation or the technology. So I think as an industry, as we've seen new entrants come in, they're kind of learning that. And, as a result, some are going to succeed great, and